And we're finally here. The game's here. The game that we all have been waiting for. Over 45 days of cricket, over 45 days of non-stop action. Finally, it's India and Australia that remain. Ahmedabad is the venue. We've, of course, got an Aussie fan. We've got Nikhil Bhai as well. And I'm supposed to be in the neutral here. I just want to see this is probably going to be the truest test of my neutrality in terms of me not being biased either ways. Anirudh, how are you doing? How's it going? I know you've written the tactical preview as well, so you know a lot more about this than probably even Nikhil Bhai. But first things first, how are you doing? Hopeful for an Australia win today?
Not really. I mean, I think the way this tournament has, progressed, I feel like this should be, like, especially consider all factors considered. I think this should be a probably a comfortable victory for India because the way they've played, the way Australia have also struggled throughout the tournament. But then I think it's all about the nerves. It's. I mean, I can't even imagine the pressure that must be on some of these players. I can see. I was like telling basketball outside, like I don't remember, seeing a cricket match being a festival like this in a very long time. 2011 social media was not that prominent, so we probably did not get the real exposure of what went on, you know, at the ground level. But now that we get all exposure to all the scenes and all, it's like absolute madness. So, look, I just hope that we get at least a semi-competitive game, if not a close match, so that it lives up to the hype of the final. But hopefully we get a good match. That's all.
100%. I mean, a repeat of what we saw in Chennai last month on the 8th of October wouldn't be the worst of, things, to be honest. But Nikhil Bhai, something Anirudh rightly mentioned, and I have to agree with him there. Ahmedabad is painted blue right now. The city is just vibing. You can almost breathe cricket here. It's just crazy, like the way it's going around, the way people are just looking forward to the game. Today morning, 9 o'clock, we just stepped out for some breakfast. We already saw people with their jerseys on, ready to go to the stadium at 9 in the morning. It's just crazy. But Nikhil Bhai, again, with you, how hopeful are you? Like, this is the finals. It's your favorite format, of course. So you would be a lot more excited than even me right now.
Yeah, it's a good format. Two teams, I think, probably, I don't know, fair and fair reflection of probably the one of the best rivalries that we've seen in the last decade or so. I think these two sides have played a lot of big games in uh, both the bigger formats. So it should be good. Hopefully, as Anirudh said, it's a very good game to watch. There are a lot of mini battles to discuss. So that could really be very interesting to see.
100%. We will get down to all those battles and matchups and all of that in due course. Right now, we just want to revel in all of this excitement and enthusiasm, and it sort of makes me feel as well, because I must admit I have been a critic of the format in general. I personally am not the biggest fan of it, but one thing I will have to admit is that the ODI World Cup is hands down the biggest tournament out there. None of the WTC, World T20, tournaments or IPLs and all of that can even come remotely close. So there's something about the World Cup, about the ODI World Cup that just gets you going, man. Anirudh, do you agree with that? What do you think of it?
Yeah, the only World Cup in cricket is the ODI World Cup, and I'm sure that nobody. I hope that nobody even talks about the format, at least the World Cup, going extinct, and people saying that 2027 will not happen and all. Like, just see it. Like, I was just thinking of the last two T20 World Cups, 2021 and 2022. How irrelevant they felt completely. They just felt like a burden. They didn't even feel like a proper ICC tournament. But I feel that has to do with T20 World Cups happening almost every year. But like the feeling the ODI World Cup gives you, it's I don't think nothing can match it in cricket at all. Like, not even. I mean, I don't consider IPL to be such an intense competition like the World Cup, but I feel that still even a Chennai Gujarat final was so close. But I don't feel that this the magnitude of this India Australia final completely dwarfs whatever the build up was for the Gujarat Chennai final, or any T20 World Cup final we've had. So yeah, I'm all for the ODI format. I just feel that you know our brains did not get used to the ODI format at the start of this World Cup, and we were like, "Oh God, it's too
Correct.
long, too long." I've not seen
Yeah.
anyone bring up the length of the ODI format in the
Yeah.
last couple of weeks. And also, somebody pointed out a really good, fact, which was it is only in ODI cricket. You see, in one match, 400 feels like a target of 150, and in another match, 200 feels like a target of 500. T20 can never, kind of give you this kind of uh, excitement and unpredictability. So I'm all for the ODI format to stay. And
Fair enough. I mean, couldn't agree with you more there. Just hope that the World Cup at least exists. Like again, even as one of the most fiercest critics out there, I'm never going to say that the World Cup itself should go extinct. Let's just take a couple of comments at Pranav Anand. Bhai, matlab samajh rahe, we understand your emotions, we even echo them. He says, guys, there's no watch along, but you should record your raw emotions and upload it if India wins. Of course, yeah, we would love to. We really would. Avnish would be over the moon, over, I mean, on the prospect of at the prospect of doing a watch along, but unfortunately it takes a toll. Sitting in front of the screens for 8 hours is not the easiest of tasks out there. But Anirudh, again, let's start with you right now. We did speak about a couple of selection conundrums that both sides will have and both sides will have to look at. Let's begin with the first one. India, Ashwin, do you see him getting a chance finally today?
well, if the pitch is actually so dry, then I feel that India could actually go the Ashwin route. But look, who do they drop? Do they drop Siraj and go in with just two pacers? Do they drop Surya Kumar and just go in with five specialist batters? It's a very very tricky call, and I'm just thinking, is it worth taking the risk? Do we want to take such a big risk come the final, where you have to decide between a batter and a fast bowler and sacrifice one of them? So, I feel it could get tricky in that sense, but I will tell you this: Australia would much rather face Siraj than Ashwin, probably. And let's not hope India drop Shami for Ashwin, because I won't be surprised if that happens, considering Shami's track record when it comes to missing out on important matches.
I
So
mean,
that would
Anirudh's
that would
hoping for that. To be
I,
clear,
I,
Anirudh's
I
hoping
I
for that.
feel I feel that would cause an uproar that you know has been we've never witnessed before. But yeah, I'll just say this, that Australia would much rather play Siraj than Ashwin. But then again, I can't see how India can fit in Ashwin without creating an unnecessary problem for themselves, which is, one is batting depth, and two is sacrificing a pacer and going into a match with just two pacers. Like, what if the pitch doesn't turn square? Then, then you're in trouble.
Fair
So
enough. Nikhil bhai, you can also come in here because Anirudh had a couple of interesting points to mention. But before we sort of move on to the Ashwin point itself, Siraj, a lot has been made about his performance in the World Cup. I personally also felt that, he's blown a bit too hot and cold for even my liking. But come to think of it, in hindsight, having looked at his numbers, he's not been the worst. Barring that one off game that he had against New Zealand, if I'm not wrong, he's been there. He's been amongst the wickets more often than not. Maybe he went wicketless a couple of times, but the New Zealand game was the only game where he seemed off ball. What do you think? Do you agree with that, or do you still think that no, Siraj hasn't been as good as he could have been? I feel it's Bumrah and Shami just being on top of their game that sort of clouded our perception of Siraj's, World Cup performance this time around.
Yeah, but see, what you have to also keep in mind is he was in form. It wasn't that he wasn't bowling well coming into the World Cup. So that is why the surprise and the shock that why has he just not been able to find the right length at different venues? It's one thing not getting wickets, but I think the issue that we've seen with Siraj is the lack of control. Now that is something that you do not associate with a guy who's in form. So if you look at his numbers versus Australia, South Africa, and New Zealand, he's taken 4 wickets at 40. Versus rest of the sides, he's taken 9 wickets at 29. So against sides, He's struggled and not been able to keep that run flow in check. And again, you had to see that India have replaced him very very early in the spell. And today is the last day that India can afford having an off Siraj bowling to Travis Head, because if you did not see the WTC, I hope somebody made them just aware of what happened there. How did you bowl to Travis Head and what went wrong? How early can you get Shami in from around the wicket? Today is not the days to forget basics. So hopefully, I'm not in for, as Anirudh said, the change is too risky to make because things have worked. All you need is better execution. So I think that is what I'm expecting from today from India's lens as well.
100%. I mean, Avnish still gets nightmares from that 2003 World Cup final. He would be, or rather, he still is hoping that Siraj doesn't replicate Zaheer's performance from the final then. But then another selection conundrum on the other side this time. Stoinis, Anirudh again, like apparently Stoinis has been bowling there. He's been practicing, he's been warming up at the Narendra Modi Stadium in Ahmedabad. Do you see him getting a go today?
I hope not, because I really don't get. I have never been on the Marcus Stoinis hype train ever in ODI cricket. I don't think he's a good enough batter to displace Marnus Labuschagne. Labuschaigne's fielding alone should get him ahead of Stoinis, in my opinion, because his fielding is better than Stoinis' batting and bowling combined.
Yeah, but
So,
cricket is stupid. They'll get Manas on any which ways.
and as far as bowling is concerned, he has been, except for that Pakistan match where he provided a couple of very important breakthroughs, he's been extremely below average. And also, that's because he's not bowled consistently. He's not needed to bowl consistently, and he's also not played every match. So, you can't blame Stoinis as well. But see, the only argument for Stoinis is, look, his bowling will be valuable, and his lower order hitting will be valuable, and that might force Australia to play him ahead of Labuschagne. But I really don't feel, considering Australia all now have Travis Head as well, which is something they did not have, for example, in the Chennai match against India. Now they have Michelle Marsh bowling as well. He can be the extra pacer in instead of Stoinis. So I get it that his cutters might be effective on a dry surface, and you could probably get a couple of batters caught at deep mid wicket or whatever. But you have persisted with Manas for the entire tournament. Just give him one more match and hope that he does something well. I don't particularly agree that Stoinis should be playing this match.
Just on that point, though, do you think it is not about Stoinis not being required because Australia haven't taken a lot of power play wickets? So it's not that there wasn't a need. I just felt the management and whenever they played Stoinis, they have been very, very, I wouldn't say rigid, but they've been very stuck to their plans that okay, we will not move away from our plans and not get somebody like because Stoinis is not someone who doesn't bowl with a new ball, and we've seen him get success with a new ball across conditions and across venues. So maybe something there. And as you rightly said, I agree with that point that for me, the bowling potential of Stoinis doesn't overpower Marnus's batting because Marnus has batted well. So he may not have gotten a lot of 70s, 80s, but he's put in crucial performances in every game. And he's gotten starts and he's someone who you think if the pitch is going to turn a bit, he will be at more ease as compared to Stoinis also. Again, Stoinis could put in a performance like James Parker, who knows? But how likely that is to happen, that is something that I think Australia will want to weigh better.
Also,
If
also one more, just one more point is that with the extremely volatile nature of Australia's top three, which is Warner, Head, and Marsh, you must always be prepared for a 24-3 scenario. It will happen. It could happen. And when it's 24-3, you'd much rather want Smith and Labuschagne batting together instead of, let's say, Smith and Inglis or Smith and Stoinis or whoever. So I get that if Stoinis is batting for the last 10 overs against Shami and Bumrah and Siraj, maybe he could score 20-30 runs. But if you look at his returns in ODI cricket in the last 4 years, he's not scored a single 50. He's averaging below 20. I mean, we are just hoping that Stoinis will somehow realize his potential, and you can't live on that hope forever. You have to reward the guy who has actually shown some consistency. And also, we know Marnus, for all we know, could probably get Rohit Sharma or Virat Kohli run out with his direct hits, and that could be a very crucial factor as well. So, uh, everything considered, I just feel that Australia have to back Labuschagne to have an impact in this match.
Fair enough, and we're only minutes away from the toss, so it's not too long before we get to know what the team and the playing combination is going to be. Guys, nearly 40 of you watching. Please also make sure you're hitting the like button. It is the finals. It's pretty much the end of the tournament right now, so please do show some love. Please make sure you're hitting the like button. Make sure you've also subscribed to us if you haven't already. Firaz Ahmed, meanwhile, says Ashwin Anna is going to play according to reports from the ground. It already seems like one of those decisions that we'll either regret or hail a masterstroke at the end of the game. Hoping it'll be the latter and not the former. Let me also embarrass myself by attempting a bit of Tamil before we move on. Raja even says, Anirudh Bhai, you know the famous Kamal sir dialogue, Kadavul illa na solla.
கடவுள் இல்லைன்னு சொல்லல இருந்தா நல்லா இருக்கும்னு சொல்றேன். It's like I'm not saying God doesn't exist. I'm just saying it will be nice if God existed.
Oh, interesting. All right, interesting. But then
And that's what I think he's saying, that I'm not saying Ashwin should play. I'm just saying that it will be good if Ashwin plays. I think he's referring to something like that.
Interesting. But yeah, again, one more question that a lot of our viewers have been asking is, should the team winning the toss bat first or bowl first? Sanjay Bharti, there's Open Book, there's of course Sivrami Reddy. What do you think? Nikhil Bhai, let's start with you right now. Win the toss, bat first, bowl first. It is a big occasion.
I mean, the traditional mindset is to just bat first, get a very big score, and then let the scoreboard take care of it. But in the recent times of all the finals that I can think of, most have been won by sides chasing, because that's how cricket has been in terms of teams haven't been sure batting first, and you just feel that batting second. Today again they have spread the anti-dew bit which we read, so dew shouldn't come in as much. So again, if the wicket is going to remain the same, then I don't think it matters. But generally teams prefer to have a target so that they are not going haywire in terms of what is better for this deck. If you ask me, I don't think India will mind doing either. But I think if again Anirudh can just be very open about that, I feel Australia will want to chase. I think Australia batting first may put a lot of pressure on their batting, because India's bowling should make the most of those conditions, if it's dry, if it's doing something. So I think that's how I think both teams will look at it.
Yeah, I agree, because if you look at the Ahmedabad matches in this World Cup, right, it's been tough to bat in the first 30-40 overs. At least for the first 25-30 overs, it's been tough, and there's been a lot of turn in certain matches in the first 20 overs alone. You saw the South Africa versus Afghanistan match. The amount of turn Maharaj was getting in his first 3-4 overs, you thought, look, 150, 160 could be a defendable score here if Afghanistan, manage. But the same Maharaj was not getting the same amount of turn after 10 overs. It felt like once the wicket kind of settled, there was not too much turn. And also, there has been like a lot of dew. I think there's been more dew in Ahmedabad than any other venue at this World Cup. And I'll just tell you, Australia posted 280 or 290 against England. And England had a horrendous batting performance, and they still almost chased it down. They came within like 20-30 runs of chasing down the target. And the same with South Africa. They batted very poorly against Afghanistan. They didn't even like try. And they still managed to chase 240 odd, eventually with 2-3 overs to spare. And we saw the India-Pakistan match as well. The wicket, yes, stopped a bit. But again, India pretty much chased the 200 like it was 100 or something. So I agree with Nikhil that Australia would not want a repeat of what happened in Chennai, where you saw what happened when Ashwin and Kuldeep and Jadeja kind of choked them with the spin in the middle overs. So they would hope that their best bet is restricting India to about a 270, 280-ish score, and then hoping that the dew kind of takes India spinners out of the equation, and then they kind of chase it down. Also, we've seen that Ahmedabad has not moved. The ball has not moved so much under lights in Ahmedabad as compared to a Lucknow or a Wankhede. So I feel that the team winning the toss will want to chase, regardless of whether it's Australia or India.
Interesting. And Nikhil bhai sort of, representing the true inner self of all of us. Toss का नाम सुनते ही भाग गए कि भाई toss है अपन चला टाटा bye bye करके. Back just in time, and I can see Avnish loudly cheering, which can mean only one thing. India seems to have won the toss. Yeah, I'm not sure. Wouldn't want to sort of jump.
Hold.
Yeah.
I don't know what happened, or I said something that the streamer eventually just closed by itself. I have no
Video
clue.
khatam.
Never happened. Never
Exactly.
happened so far.
But DK also, who's right now in the ground, he's also said that the surface seems a bit too dry and there's a lot of dew expected in the evening. So the team chasing will have some benefit. But he also admitted that both teams might even then want to bat first because in some sense that's always been the traditional school of thought. Come pressure situations, bat first.
Australia will
Yeah.
get us up to bowl.
Oh, so India is batting first. Not sure. So what was
That
Agni
call.
As we
talking about?
discussed.
Yeah,
As
Fair
we
call.
exactly.
discussed.
Yeah, because like Nikhil Bhai said, and Anirudh also sort of added to it that for them, maybe batting first could add a lot of pressure on their batters. Now that they are chasing, Anirudh again happy with this because this was probably the only way we could have had some sort of a competitive game, a semi-competitive game, as you put it. Had they been batting first, do you think it was game set match there itself?
Yeah, agree. Because this also at least keeps them in the game for 50 overs. Let's be honest. If they batted first and got rolled out for like 130 or 140 odds, then we are looking really at a very embarrassing final. But now even if they restrict India to an above par score, then you're thinking, look, if this happens and that happens, and the chase might be on and all those things. But I agree. Uh, this will particularly bring. I feel we might even see a few overs from Travis Head. Something that they did not do in Chennai because Head was not available. I feel that he could potentially cause a couple of problems to some of the Indian batters. But yeah, I mean, I think it's a fair call from Australia, and but like Nikhil said, I don't think this changes India's plans by any means. Maybe if they are looking to play Ashwin as well, it could kind of nullify the effect of spinners a bit. But I really don't think this affects India's plans too much. I think they will be happy to do. They will be more than happy to bat first as well, considering their average margin of victory has been what 75 runs, 80 runs in this World Cup whenever they have batted first. So I don't think they are unbothered by this. Bothered by
And
this call.
yeah, Nikhil Bhai, once again, India is batting first. We know what happened a few days ago in Mumbai. Rohit Sharma and Shubman Gill really took on the New Zealand new ball bowlers. How do you think can Aussie bowlers attack Rohit Sharma and stop this Rohit Sharma juggernaut? Because he's been on a roll this World Cup.
Yeah, I mean, see, that is, as Anirudh also mentioned about using options. Very keen to see when they use whom because India had a game where they gave a lot of wickets to Maxwell, and then they went back to being India, which is how you want it to be. But I think they will definitely start with paces, but I won't rule out a lot of early spin, and then you have to see how much it does because see the wicket that Travis had got off Classic, that is an absolute Diwali, New Year, all festival combined multi-pack, all year bonus. It doesn't come along very, very often. And you have to stress on it because
Just sorry to interrupt, but if you remember the Rajkot ODI between India and Australia, Maxwell got Shreyas Iyer the same way. It was the exact same delivery. Shreyas
I
Iyer
did not
played
want to bring it
all
up,
around
but
straight lines.
but it was still Maxwell. And
Yeah.
you expect that of Maxwell. And again, see, that is sometimes the risk that we always associate with decks which aid spin that.
Also,
If
one
yeah,
more thing, both teams are unchanged if I'm not wrong. I think no Ashwin, no
yeah, both
Stoinis.
teams are unchanged. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
So good.
sorry.
Common
Go ahead.
sense prevailed everywhere, which is great. Uh, so yeah, we were talking about head. So dry wicket hai, so then it brings in everybody. If there is spin, then it brings everybody in the picture, and you don't want that to be the case. So ideally, India would say, okay, it is a slow turner, which gradually starts to turn more. Uh, how you expect a typical subcontinent Ahmedabad, like you saw that even in the Australia England game, if I'm not wrong, where you saw Zampa getting wickets in the second half, and the dew did come, but it wasn't as much. The ball was still doing. So I think that if it is something similar to that, first India will hope that they just bat well. And again, it is silly and stupid, but both 10 overs are massive. First 10. So, because we have the second innings later to discuss about the second one. In this first one, all I am looking for is again, I'll not mention any other final. Just give yourself time to Rohit,
True.
and Gill will give himself time, which is how it should be, because you know what Gill does and what Gill can do on the day that is set against a team that is going to do a lot of spin in the middle overs. So I think that aspect from India's POV, it will be very crucial for these two to just give themselves time. If Rohit plays 15-20 overs, it should be good. So that is how you should look at it. Just bad time, and again, bad time doesn't mean that you have to not attack the bad ball. Eventually, you have to do what you have done so far, but just maintain that balance, and I'm sure the team will do it.
Also, one more point. I think Nikhil said that he'll be really interested to see how Australia use their spinners. I'll also be equally interested to see how India use their spinners in the second innings, because kind of Australia know that India only have 20 overs of spin up their sleeve. In a game like South Africa, for example, in the semi-final, they knew that Markram could bowl 10. So Markram was the one who started the kind of the spin choke. He got Warner, and then he bowled 3-4 overs, and then only it was Maharaj who came in the 15th or whatever over. But ironically, we could possibly see a scenario in which Australia bowl more overs of spin than India today, which which is which is funny to think about. But I'm just saying it could potentially happen. So like I said, if you ask Australia right now, what they would have wanted, they would have said that we don't want to face Ashwin, Jadeja, and Kuldeep in the afternoon. They've got that. They will not even be facing Ashwin in the evening as well. And they know that they only have 20 overs of spin to face. So this match could be decided by how Australia play or plan against India's spinners. But we'll talk about more about that in the mid-inning show. Obviously, we have a mid-inning show, and we can assess the wicket and assess the target and talk all of that. But I feel that a couple of good things have happened for Australia in this last 10 minutes in terms of the India's team setup and also the toss. So we might actually get a slightly even match as opposed to a blowout that you know we were all
True.
expecting.
And I mean, the last 10 minutes have also been good for us. Our viewership is almost doubled. Guys, 60 of you watching. Please, once again, a huge reminder, make sure hitting the like button on, and also do subscribe to us. There's a lot of very, very, very engaging content coming your way. It'll keep coming your way, come what may. So please make sure you're doing that. Anirudh, one more point that I wanted to ask you specifically was about Rohit Sharma. Again, I asked this to Nikhil Bhai. He gave his inputs, but I do remember watching or rather reading what you had mentioned in the tactical preview about how Australia can target Rohit Sharma. The short ball, although he's been very good with it, he's also gotten dismissed by it. Josh Hazelwood is on the other side, someone who's known for his relentless accuracy, for his metronomical accuracy, as Matthew Hayden loves to put it. It's almost like they say Hazelwood dikhta hai. That's the first word that Hayden can think of. What do you think? Do you expect that to happen today as well?
Look, see, the one advantage in Australia's favor, and it's also India's favor as well, is that Ahmedabad is a big ground. So the square boundaries are big, and that automatically brings a lot of deep catches into play. And we saw that in the England match as well. Even someone like a David Malan, was a pretty good player of the short ball, he got caught in the deep of a off cutter by Cummins. So you know Rohit probably won't be able to hit sixes as easily as he did at, say, Wankhede or some of the other venues. But I'll just say it like, the only way, it's not like you can, the way Rohit has been batting, I don't think it makes any difference if you can come up with any plan in the world and he's been negating it. So I feel that you almost need some extraordinary luck at this point to kind of get him out early. Maybe after 30s and 40s he'll start giving you chances, because he'll look to put the foot on the accelerator completely. But if you want to get Rohit out in the first you know 10-15 runs or 10-15 balls, I feel that you will need luck, because it feels like the only thing that can stop Rohit right now is Rohit himself. That's the way he's been batting. Unless Stark bowls an extraordinary ball like Madhushankar did, you know, and I think, or Hazelwood gets one to nip back like he did in Chennai, and gets a very marginal umpire's call decision. Like something extraordinary like that must happen for Australia to stop Rohit. Will it happen? I'm not sure, but I'll be curious to see what their tactics are, because I feel like too many teams have just started the first power play against Rohit and India, and they've just like gone through the motion and they have not been proactive enough. Uh, for example, Australia, I feel could potentially be okay with getting hit for 3 or 4 sixes through the short ball, but can try to get him caught at deep mid wicket or a top edge or whatever. So I would just be interested to see if Australia come out proactive to Rohit and what their lens will be to him, even Stark included. Will he try to push it away? Will he try to swing it back? What will be his stock delivery? Will it be the one going away, or will he try in swingers, or I'll be interested to see the tactical aspect of what Australia will do against Rohit, and that could actually set the tone for the match, and that will set the tone for the match. So a very important key battle, if you can call it that.
Definitely, definitely. And I know we've not sort of entered this segment, so to say, but already shuru kar liya. So let's just take it a bit forward. A lot of the talk when it comes to India's batting in the power play has been rightfully around Rohit Sharma, which has made his sort of opening partner go under the radar a bit. But Shubman Gill himself has been no mug with the bat, of course, at the top of the order. In fact, if we look at how he's fared against pace and spin, Nikhil bhai, like there's practically nothing. Like if you want to sort of target him or bombard him with one particular bowling type, he doesn't really suffer from that problem where he gets tied down by spin or he's not comfortable against pace. He's equally good. He's equally adept at both of it. One sort of critique of him in the league stage was that he not converted his starts enough. He averaged 37, 6 and 20 odd runs in the league stage. In the semi-finals, he also corrected that, got a sort of entertaining 50 there as well. How do you think, like, do you expect a lot from Shubman Gill today? It's Ahmedabad, the venue where he's played at. Of course, a lot of people, keep pointing this out that, he is an Ahmedabad Willie and all of that. So he is at his home ground right now.
I mean, if there is any day for him to go down that route of narrative, a very good one to have. But I think for a guy who's still very young in his career, I think we will find ways, teams will find ways to test him. So far, we've seen him struggle to a couple of things where you say uh, very early left arm spin has troubled him. And that has been something that has been, not that he's not good at it, but sometimes just early starting with it immediately might be something that's a concern, but that is not the challenge for him today. The challenge remains Hazelwood. The challenge remains Stark. He has okay. I mean, he's gotten out to Stark a couple of times already, and Hazelwood always has that in dipper that Anirudh pointed for Rohit, and that is something that has troubled Shubman also in the past, where he's when you're playing so much, maybe besides the ball, sometimes you will miss the line of the ball if it does too much. So again, out of seam movement will trouble everybody. So let's put it that way. So if he gets set, I think as we say for Rohit, I think it is going to be something similar for Shubman, that only Shubman gets himself out. Whether he's trying to take a very risky shot or aggressive, because I think a set Shubman Gill is very difficult to dismiss. So again, maybe that is the case for most batters, but I think these two are the bits that trouble him. If he sees them off, then it's only the situation or him at times being wanting to be over ambitious that gets the better of him. So hopefully, as I said, today is the day to get yourself in. I don't think Rohit also will want to hit at too many sixes. Just get yourself in. You know what you know. See, Australia's, as Anirudh said, Australia's best chance is to strike very, very early. And on the day of the big final, you do not want them. You don't want them to give them from your end. They bowl a good ball. They bowl a good ball. You can't do much. But so I just think in terms of that waiting, if it's a bad ball, go for it, no problem. So I think eventually, again, I'll repeat myself very often now in this preview. Back what you've done so far. Hopefully, another good day.
Interesting. And again, in terms of Rohit Sharma and how to negate him, Pranav Anand has a very interesting question. If a wicket doesn't fall in the first 6-7 overs, should Zampa come on versus Rohit? What do you think of this, Anirudh? Because we have a graphic that speaks about how Rohit has fared against Adam Zampa, and it's a sort of 50-50, 127 runs, an average of 32, nearly 32, a strike rate of 99. Do you think Zampa could be a potential option to negate Rohit's impact on the game?
I would still not bowl Zampa on the power play. Like I said, Australia I don't think they have done that in this World Cup at all. I still feel that if Hazelwood and Stark can't get Rohit, then you go in with Cummins and back Cummins to do the job, because again, Cummins is someone who has a very good bouncer, an off cutter, and in these kind of tacky surfaces, he always seems to make things happen. So you have to back your first three bowlers to do the job. If not, I'd still bring Maxwell on and give him a go. And I will stick to the template because you need Zampa for the middle order as well. You should not get carried away by just front loading your bowlers and then leaving nothing for the back end of the back end of the innings. And we saw New Zealand did this against Santner where they bowled like a couple of overs of Santner in the power play against Rohit. It did not work, and they had to struggle towards the middle overs due to that. So I personally don't think Australia should kind of go away from their already existing template. They should just be, I feel, prepared to get hit for a couple of boundaries, prepared to get hit for a few sixes. That's what Mitchell Marsh said in the aftermath of the Pune match as well, where Bangladesh scored around 300 odd. They say that, look, I know that our pacers have not been the most lethal. They are averaging close to 40 or whatever, and they've not statistically been great. But you have to understand that we have been playing on some surfaces which are pretty flat, and on such surfaces, as a bowling unit, you have to accept the fact that you'll get hit for boundaries, and you should not get rattled, and that should not force you to shy away from your plans. So when I spoke to Glenn McGrath last year when I went to the MRF Pace Academy, I asked him, how do you bowl to someone like a Surya Kumar? Like Surya Kumar was in the form of his life. I asked him, how should a bowler approach bowling to someone like a Surya Kumar? He told me, don't let him dictate how you bowl. You bowl where you want to bowl, and if he hits it for six, then that's fine. But don't get rattled by his movements or something. And that's what, if you remember, Mohit Sharma did in the IPL qualifier 2 as well. He
Qualifier.
got hit
Yeah.
for a six and then he cleaned him up. So I think with Rohit also, it's key to do that for Australia. Don't let him, you know, dictate your plans. You have your plans. If he hits you for a six, then good enough. He's a great batter. Let him do it, but don't shy away from your plans because you got hit for a boundary. So that's the key, I feel.
Interesting that Nikhil Bhai Anirudh mentioned that he wouldn't play or rather bowl Zampa up front because he wouldn't want to front load all his options. He would want Zampa at the back end to bowl to the Indian middle order. But if we look at the Indian batting order and how they fared against spin in general in this World Cup, that is, all of them have been fantastic. All of them average in excess of 100. Iyer and Kohli, in fact, in excess of 200. So do you see any merit again? क्या लगता है? Like, do you think spinners playing a key role today, or do you expect the Indian batters to do what they've done all along this World Cup?
Yeah, I think I want to get Anirudh's view on this as well. But I think this final could also be a very, very, very big test for Pat Cummins, test keeper, because you can see the numbers that are there. See, when you have a top five in such good form, it's the captaincy, it's the tactics that are going to play a very good role on the big day. That what are your plan B's and C's? As Anirudh said, okay, you will definitely start with the Pacers, and then if you want to go to Maxwell, what are your fields for it? What are your fields for? Because see, the thing with this Indian batting is all of them have very different release shots. Somebody like Rohit is happy to sit down and paddle or pull, doesn't bother much. Apart from the top three, the other two sweep, but the top three don't sweep as much. So those are those small areas that I'm looking forward to in terms of captaincy from Pat Cummins. That where is he looking to frustrate the batting? Because India's template has been such that Rohit gives them a start, and then it is almost like they are batting for the 35th to 40th over. Okay, we'll keep going, we'll not lose wickets. And the moment they cross the 25-30 over mark, they have wickets in hand. They then slowly start to accelerate. So the challenge for Pat is going to be try and force them to change the pace of the game. And because I don't think today is the day where you can wait. That again, it cannot be taken into wrong context. I'm saying for the openers to wait, but if you're the opposite side, you cannot be affording to waiting for a mistake from their end. So you have to be at the top of the game. Sometimes you just run through. This is my plan, as Anirudh said. Let's just stick to my plan. But today could be the day where you have to go deviate from it and back your instincts as well. Something Pat has done well so far. Today could be another day to just back it up.
Fair enough. And Anirudh earlier mentioned that he wouldn't mind, conceding a few sixes, or rather,
Yeah.
Australia concede a few sixes to Rohit Sharma if it comes at the cost of his wicket. But if you look at the most sixes scored by a batter in this World Cup, it's Rohit Sharma, of course, at the top, then David Warner, then Shreyas Iyer, and at number 4 is Glenn Maxwell. So all of them
Yeah.
are featuring in the final. Hopefully, we will see a lot of those sixes today. It'll make for some entertaining viewing. But that's a problem, right? Rohit Sharma is someone who loves hitting those sixes. So it could potentially mean that he might score more than just 3 4 sixes. Those 3 4 can very easily become 8 9, and by then he's already taken the game away from you. So yeah, it is always going to be a trade-off. Very interesting to see what will happen. A lot of comments coming in. Let's just take a few comments before we, of course, wrap the preview up. And really looking forward to this. All of us are super excited. All of us are even nervous. M. Rajesh, we understand your feeling. He says, Nikhil, bhai, I'm feeling nervous. It's always going to be that. It is the finals. Don't worry, Rohit Sharma, Virat Kohli, they'll take care of you, my man. Don't worry. Dheeraj Vathi seems like a new name. Make sure you've hit the like button already, Dheeraj. And also, please, please, please make sure you've subscribed to us if you haven't already. He says it's a bad call from Cummins. What are the reasons that Pat has opted to bowl first against the host nation instead of pressurizing India by posting a big total on board? I know we discussed this, in detail earlier, but Anirudh, if you have to sort of briefly, tell Dheeraj, what do you think is the reason for Pat to opt to bowl first?
Look, just keep it short. Like the way Ahmedabad has played in this World Cup so far, there's been a lot of. It's been difficult to bat in the first 20, 30 overs of the first innings, and there's been a lot of dew in the second innings. So I just feel that it makes sense. Also, Australia will be under immense pressure if they bat first. Also, like from the
Yeah.
crowd and everything. And if you want to test out India's nerves, then ask them to bat first and just say that, look, have you got it in you to play the same way you did in the semis or in the first 10 matches of the World Cup? So it's all about asking the question. And if Australia can restrict South Africa to 200 and something on a dry wicket in Kolkata, they will believe that if not 220, they can restrict India to like 260 or 270. So uh, I feel it's a justified call. I don't think it's a blunder. Time will tell. But if Australia lose this match, I don't think it will be because of the toss. I just feel that it will be because India are just a superior team in these conditions. So
100%. Let's quickly move on to the last segment. I know we haven't done the segments like we usually do, but of course, it is the final, so we will want to do things differently. At least that's how I'll
Yeah.
put it in case I have forgotten, because that's how we do it here. But yeah, quickly move on to the last segment, which of course is X Factor. Nikhil bhai, starting with you, X Factor for the day, India, Australia, finals, Ahmedabad, all of the crowd. Who's your X Factor?
Two people. Hopefully, both of them have a great day. One is Shubman Gill. This one's from Paji's end because he said that Gill will do well. So this is for you, Paji. Gill, both the Gills. My pick is Jadeja. Not even surprised. Loves Australia. Loves a wicket like that. Can hit the length. Lot of problems can be solved if he's striking. Again, they'll have to wait for head to get out because I don't think India will bowl him till head's there. So hopefully the Pacers take care of head first. Only then can Jadeja come into the picture. So hopefully that is done. So Gill and Jadeja.
मतलब ऐसा नो होल्ड्स बार्ड ही इज सॉर्ट ऑफ क्लियर भाई ऑस्ट्रेलिया से कोई है ही नहीं एक्स फैक्टर अपने को चाहिए ही
अच्छा
नहीं
इंडिया का पूछा तो इंडिया का बोलूंगा ना पहले तो फिर मैं
एक्स
ऑस्ट्रेलिया का
फैक्टर
बोलूंगा
बोलिए मैच का एक्स फैक्टर यूजुअली दोनों टीम्स का बोलते हैं आप तो
हाँ
दो इंडियन नाम बोल के
हाँ
कटके के भाई
नहीं नहीं
मैं
नहीं नहीं
समझ गया
करना
एक गुरकिरत का हाँ
हाँ हाँ तो एंड फॉर ऑस्ट्रेलिया I think today is a good day for Pat Cummins to. And see, I want to go Steve Smith, but I'll keep it for Anirudh. So Pat
we can
Cummins it is.
talk about batting X factors in the second mid innings show.
Yeah, exactly. So which is why I
Fair
said कि Pat Cummins अभी के लिए because he'll bowl in at the end overs and in the crucial phases in the middle innings. So in the middle overs, so Pat Cummins.
all right Anirudh, what about you? Who's your X factors? Who are your X factors? Sorry.
For Australia, I'm going Josh Hazelwood because I feel that he has kind of the wood over some of the Indian batters, even Kohli. And to be honest, he was unlucky to not dismiss both Rohit and Kohli in the Chennai match. Like he got Rohit early, and then Marsh dropped a sitter to give Kohli a reprieve. So I feel that his lens will be kind of tricky to negate on this kind of a apparent two-paced wicket. That's what we are hearing. When it comes to India, I'm gonna go with Kohli. I can't look past Kohli. Like, you know, whenever he sees the name Australia or he sees the color yellow, something happens to Kohli, and a part of him that you know is usually asleep kind of wakes up. And in this World Cup, it's not even asleep; it's already awake. So it's gonna be like hyper today. So you know, uh, it's just impossible to look beyond Kohli when it comes to an Australia India match. So his
Interesting.
contributions are gonna.
Abish will be over the moon again, once again, just to hear Kohli from
Oh my
Anirudh.
God, boys! I can't wait. The energy is honestly palpable. And Anirudh, good luck to you. Nikhil, good luck with all you. Of course, watching this particular preview right now. And Akshay, how you feeling? Because I'm nervous and excited at the same time.
Right
I,
now, all your feelings are just sort of
that's
having a spillover effect over me as well. But
For
yeah,
sure. But really appreciate everyone in the comments. I've been watching, of course, even though I've been doing fan cams. Keep the comments coming through. Like, of course, if you think India are going to win the World Cup, and I think Australia have already made their first mistake of the way, of course, batting last. Cheers.
let's wrap it up, guys. It's getting nearer.
Yeah,
It's getting closer.
exactly. Both Anirudh and Nikhil couldn't wait to just get back to the game and, of course, watch all the action live. Guys, once again, thank you so much. And oh, sorry, before I forget, ek to cheez reh gaya, bhai. Let's also get our predictions in. First innings predictions. I know Open Book sort of had asked this to us over 20 minutes ago. Yeah, Anirudh, let's start with you. First innings. How much is India ending up with, and why is it 484?
I'm going 278.
Okay, interesting. That's 80 de Villiers. I remember that. Nikhil bhai, what about you?
I'll stick to VVS 281.
क्या यार मतलब मेरे को एवरेज लेना भी है तो वीवीएस ही बोलना पड़ेगा या फिर एबी डिविलियर्स बोलना पड़ेगा नहीं
See, it's Australia. It's Australia. It's a big one. You cannot look past VVS. So yeah, it is.
I'm
VVS.
hoping for some Chris Gale kind of action. So 333 is what I'll stick to. It'll be nice. It'll be nice to see. Very nice to see if they get to 333. 100%. It'll be a great game, guys. Thank you so much once again for tuning in. Make sure you've hit the like button if you haven't already. Please do that. And also, please make sure you've subscribed to us if you haven't already. It's time for live action. It'll be starting in a minute or two. Thank you so much for tuning in. And also, do remember that we will be doing the mid-innings review 5 minutes after the end of the first innings, or as soon as possible, of course. If before then, if earlier, the great 100%. But once again, thank you so much, guys. Have a great game. Let's hope the best team wins, and let's hope we are in for some close, thrilling action. Bye-bye.
Cheers.